Namaskar. This is the platform of civil services coaching, namely as Gyan Sagar Academy, located in Delhi. So, at this platform, we will discuss primarily all GS subject like geography, economy, polity, science. Beside the UPSC GS, we also provide the different materials related to preliminary examination as well as the mains exam. Now, today our class related to the Indian economy. So, straightforward, we will start Indian economy. This pertain to the UPSC, PCS, UPPCS, Bihar, Public Service Commission, Rajasthan, and in different exam we will find questions related to the economy is also frequently asked. So today our class is related to the Indian economy, and now we will discuss in detail all about that. What is the economy? What is the economics? Here we find three words, three alphabets, ICS. These alphabets are frequently occurring in different subjects like mathematics, physics. So ICS means the subject, means the study, the science. It deals with the science. It deals with subject. Subject or study or science. Here another word, econom. So this word derived from oikonomia या oikonomios. This is the oikonomia. या oikonomia या oikonomios. This is the Greek word. This is the Greek word. Greek word. Greek word. It means management of the household. Economios means management of household. Management of household. In ancient Greeks, family members managing their expenses, their income of a household. So these was known as oikonomios. Later, this word oikonomios converted या turned या changed as the economy. And with the admixture of ICS, this become economics. So today we will discuss economics. Economic means the subject that deals, the subject या the study that deals with the production, distribution of goods and services. So economic means the subject that deals with the production and distributions of economic means the subject that deals with production, distribution of goods and services. It also talks about the potential resources. It also deals with the optimization of resources to fulfill the human want. In other subject, we can say it is the optimization of resources to fulfill the human wants. In other words, we can say the subject matter that deals with production and distribution of a country, of a household, and anything. This is the economics. Another word we are frequently using as economy. Economy. We already discussed about economics. All the information related about this that I have discussed, we will provide below the interlink, and freely PDFs will be provided to the all students. And if any students want to join our classes, then they can join through the management, and it also have Telegram link and WhatsApp, and my WhatsApp number is 8595199927. This is the Telegram link, this is the WhatsApp link, and all the aspirants can find all different information related to the UPSC, BPSC through these links. And free PDF will be provided to all the persons, all the aspirants who are intended to join our classes. So here we are talking about the economy. Economy means the activity of a country related to the economics. Here, actions of the economics. Economy means actions and activity of the economy of a region. Another thing, we also discussed about the history, a brief history about the economics. First of all, this subject was discussed, yet described by the Adam Smith. Adam Smith. Adam Smith. This was the discussed and described by the Adam Smith. Adam Smith. He is also known as classical economist. He belonged to the 18th century of Scotland. 18th century. He was from Scotland. So, in other words, we can say he is the Scottish economy. Also classical economist. He is also known as the first economist. He designed and describes all different subject matter related to the economics, first of all in 18th century. Later different scholars also discuss about the economics, like Marshall and like Keynes during the recession of 1929. So, but he was the primary scholar that discussed about the economics. He was the propounder of laissez-faire theory. What is the laissez-faire theory? He was the propounder of laissez-faire theory. Laissez-faire theory. He was the against of mercantilism. किसके अगेंस्ट था ये? He was the against of mercantilism. Mercantilism. and he propounded the laissez-faire theory of economic policy. Laissez-faire of economic policy means any country which derived by the free economic policies. तो नंबर वन, फ्री इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज, यानी गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज आर प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड based on demand and supply. Laissez-faire means goods and services are produced based on demand and supply. No government intervention is existed in laissez-faire. So it was against the government intervention. Free market economic forces determined the production and distribution, demand and supply of goods and services come under the laissez-faire economic policies. So Adam Smith was the follower, या propounder of laissez-faire economic policy. One question was asked whether he belonged to mercantilism or laissez-faire. So we can say he was the propounder of, या follower of laissez-faire economic policy. Next point, he wrote a book in 1776, यानी 1776, Nation of Wealth of Nation. His book name was Wealth of Nation. Another question is also asked about Adam Smith. His book name was Wealth of Nation, and in Wealth of Nation he discussed about the classical economic theory and principles. So now we will come to the economics, and we can divide the economics into two parts, better known as the microeconomy as well as the macroeconomics. We can divide the economics into two parts. One is the macroeconomy, another is the microeconomy. So first, so economy, Indian economy, but here we are discussing about the economics. Economics means economics. It is the actions, या activity. It relates to the subject study, या science, because here in suffix we find ICS. ICS means subject, या study, या science. Microeconomy. Microeconomy. In other words, macroeconomy. Macroeconomy. So economics is divided into two parts. Yes, classified into two parts: microeconomy and macroeconomy. Micro means बारीक, छोटा. Macro means large, या बड़ा. Micro means बारीक, छोटा. Macro means large and बड़ा. Just we imagine, for example, is forest. So forest consists on different trees. A lot of trees existed in a forest. So the study of a single tree, the economic behavior, या economic indications, economic returns that studied related to single tree is known as the microeconomy. If we are studying the aggregate, या whole sum of the forest, it is called the macroeconomy. So microeconomy means study of behavior of individual economic unit. Microeconomic means study of economic behavior of individual units. Study of economic behavior of individual unit come under the microeconomy. Like, for example, e.g., income of a person, output of a firm. Income of a person, output of a firm. So one person, one firm, that come under the microeconomy. Whenever we are studying under the microeconomic, it will be study of economic behavior of aggregate of whole economy. In microeconomy, we will study, it studies the economic whole system. Under microeconomic, it studies the whole system of a nation, of a country, that come under the microeconomy. Study of aggregate production, distribution of a country. Study of output of a country, wholesale production and distribution of a country. So it pertain to the aggregates of income, aggregates of output, या aggregates of the demand and supply, that come under macroeconomy. While under microeconomy, we only just studying about the behavior of single units. Here aggregate या whole system या economic system, whole economic system is studied under the microeconomy. Whole economic system is studied under, as a whole economic system is studied under microeconomy. The whole country's income, expenditure, inflation is studied under microeconomy. So economic system, this is the most important term, and later we will discuss in detail about the economic system, like a socialist economic system, capitalist economic system, and command economic system. So according to the article 39C, that come under DPSP, government cannot formulate such a policy that operate the economic system in such a manner that led to concentrate the whole wealth and resources of the country in certain hands. आर्टिकल 39 का सी ये कहता है, आर्टिकल 39 का सी ये कहता है, जो कि डीपीएसपी में आता है, कि गवर्नमेंट कोई ऐसी पॉलिसी नहीं बनाएगी जिसके कारण देश भर का सारा पैसा, दौलत कुछ ही लोगों या किसी के हाथ में कंसंट्रेट हो जाए. तो उसको हम क्या यहाँ बात कर रहे थे, इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम, बस ये पॉलिटिक्स से रिलेटेड था, तो मैंने यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा डिस्कस कर दिया, बट इससे कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. अगला हमारा टॉपिक आएगा जो है, इसके अंदर हम ले सकते हैं जो इकोनॉमिक माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक में जो एग्जांपल अगर लिखा जाएगा, दैट इज एग्रीगेट ऑफ जीडीपी या नेशनल इनकम या इन्फ्लेशन या होल सोल आउटपुट ऑफ ए कंट्री, दैट कम अंडर द माइक्रो इकोनॉमी. Next, we will discuss another topics related to the same module. This is our first module, module 1, and I think say nearly 12 to 13 modules. In 12 to 13 modules, we will complete whole course of Indian economy pertaining to the GS subject, GS syllabus of preliminary as well as the mains exam. Next, we will discuss the nature of Indian economy. Next, we will discuss about the nature of Indian economy. nature of Indian economy. Several questions earlier asked in UPSC as well as the PCS exams के choose one alternates what is the nature of Indian economy या feature of Indian economy या which features related to the Indian economy. So several questions asked about the Indian economy and we will discuss in detail about these. So developing and underdeveloped. Number one, developing and underdeveloped economy. Number one. Next, number two, scarcity of capital. Scarcity of capital. Nature means feature, characters, what is the, how anything look like, how it behaves, and what are the characters that pertain to any specific thing, that is the nature. And when we are talking about the Indian economic, what are the features of Indian economy? So developing and underdeveloped economy या developing and underdeveloped country. Another was the scarcity of capital. Scarcity of capital. Next point, high unemployment, high poverty level, high unemployment, high unemployment, high poverty level, high poverty level, and high inequality, high inequality, high inequality. Next, high regional inequality. Next, high regional inequality, regional inequality. Next, predominance of agriculture, predominance of agriculture, predominance of agriculture. Next, high growth rate of population, high growth rate of population. High growth rate of population. Next, dualistic economy, dualistic economy. Next, poor quality of life, poor quality of life. Yeah, standard of life is poor in India. So these are the basic features. Yeah, these are the natures of Indian economy, and we will discuss in detail about these that related to our exams. First of all, developing and underdeveloped economy. One question in last year UPPSS was asked whether Indian economy is developed or underdeveloped, यानी विकासशील and विकसित. So mostly students are not able to choose the proper answer. So now we will discuss if what is the developed and what is the developing economy. We can classify word into developed and underdeveloped. Developed and underdeveloped. Developed. Developed means the country who is having the greater per capita income, they are sustaining lifestyles, their HDI index is very high. Almost the capitalist democratic countries come under the developed countries like USA, Japan, Australia, German, UK. So these are the developed countries. Another classification is underdeveloped. Underdeveloped मतलब कि जो अभी डेवलप नहीं हो पाए. Underdeveloped मतलब जो अभी डेवलप नहीं हो पाए. We further can divide the underdeveloped countries into two categories. One is developing developing, another one is LDC. Underdeveloped countries का मतलब underdeveloped country UDC, underdeveloped countries UDC, or least developed countries LDC. So here different classification. First of all, world is classified into two parts based on economic status या economic study activities या people's living styles. One is the developed countries. All capitalist democratic countries come under developed, like Australia, German, UK, USA, and Japan. So here per capita income is high. Here capital formation is also high, and employment rate is also high, and inequality is least. High regional equality does not exist in developed countries, and economic activities यानी कि predominancy of agriculture. But here secondary and tertiary economic activities is predominated in developed countries. Secondary and tertiary economic activities is predominated in developed countries, while in developing countries agriculture is dominated. Yeah, primary economic activities is concentrated in underdeveloped countries. High growth rate. Here population growing is very high. Here population growth is saturated. No growth rate. Yani birth rate is declining. Birth rate reached to the very low point, while death rate is constant. So elderly population is very high in developed countries, while children's and youth adolescent population is very high in underdeveloped countries. So if these are having the chunk of the population, means it dominated by the labor forces. Here list of the labor availability in developed countries. Dualistic economy. Here monopolistic economic activities. My means only selected economic activities exist in a region, while in India, yeah, underdeveloped countries, the primary economic activities like agriculture exist with the information technology, with computer and software. So this is the dualistic economic activities. My means computer software exist with agriculture, with primary economic activities. That is the dualistic economy. This is the feature of underdeveloped economic activities. Developed countries. So India come under developing countries. India come under developing countries. South Africa come under developing countries. China still come under developing countries. And all African and mostly African and Asian countries come under developing countries. One classification is given by the United Nations, that is known as the LDC countries, least developed countries. I think it catch up nearly under approximate 46 46 countries come under LDC. According to UN data in 2021, it was given 46 countries come under LDC. LDC means least developed countries. Here primary economic activities is predominated. So many people still engage in food gathering, hunting, and like that activities in LDC countries, like the Samoa and Micronesia, Melanesia in South Pacific islands. So such countries come under the LDC. Congo, Rwanda, Burundi come under LDC, and Somalia come under LDC. So these are their per capita income, HTI, and people living style is very low compared to the developing countries. Here first, it is the second, or here it is the third. So economic activities predominated of the secondary and tertiary, most of the people engaged in agriculture. Here, with agriculture, peoples are also engaged in hunting, food gathering, and zooming agriculture. Like that, is practices is also found in LDC countries. So now we will discuss about the Indian context, developing and underdeveloped economy of India. What are the feature of developing and underdeveloped economy of India? One thing that is the low standard of living. Developing and underdeveloped country, that is the feature related to the India, Indian economy. Low per capita income, poor economic activities. My means low per capita income means low per capita income, low standard of living, low per capita income, low per capita income. That is the national income divided by total population. Low per capita income means national income divided by total population. We are talking about the per capita income. So India's per capita income is very low. Approximate it was 2 lakh 2 lakh 30, I think say it was 2 lakh 5,000 in 2024 at the current price. It was, I think say, per capita income of India was 2 lakh 5,000 approximate in 2024 at the current market price. At current market price, yeah, current prices, India's per capita income was 2 lakh 5,000 24, yeah, 2 lakh 5,035, like that was in 2024 at current prices. So another things we are discussing here, the high unemployment rates. India's unemployment rate is very high. Why? Because population is very high, growth rate is high, and production, yeah, productivity was low. So due to that, employment rate is very high. It was 3.2%, I think, given in last labor force survey. The unemployment rate was 3.2% during the last employment survey. Next was is a high inequality exists in India. High inequality, regional inequalities also exist in India. Predominance of agriculture. Now we will discuss about the agriculture activities and like that. One thing also we know, later I will discuss the progressive economy, emerging economy, like that. We are these terms are very common in newspapers. We are listening day by day. Progressive economy, emerging economy. India is also emerging economy. All the BRICS countries are the emerging economy. So now we will discuss about the predominant of the agriculture. Predominant of agriculture. One thing we also memorizing here, we are repeating to all the students. You can find out the PDF from below links, and if you join our classes. So under nature of Indian economy, we are discussing about the predominant of Indian agriculture. Predominant of Indian agriculture. So like their sectors, we are talking about the sectors. Here जो है agriculture, next one is industry, third one is agriculture, industry, third one is the services. Next one is air. In 1947, 1947, and recently what and another things we can say, the employment 2024. So any economic activities can be divided into three sectors: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. It is the other classification. Another classification: agriculture, industry, and services. Later we will discuss about the primary and agriculture and industry in different manners, which subsectors come under which sectors, major sectors. So here we classify the economic activities in agriculture, industry, and services. How many people was engaged in agriculture at the dawn of इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ इंडिया, यानी 1947 में इंडिया में कितने लोग एग्रीकल्चर या इस तरह की प्रैक्टिसेस में इन्वॉल्व थे? सो इट वाज द 60%. इट वाज द 60%. When India gets independence, approximately 60% of its population was engaged in agriculture. At that time, industrial activities consisted by 18% of the India's population. India's economy, not population, India's economy. My means this is the GDP. 60% GDP comes from agriculture sector at the dawn of independence of India. That means 1947. 1947 पे जब भारत आज़ाद हुआ, यानी ब्रिटिश की गुलामी से, तो इंडिया में एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटीज से जीडीपी में भागीदारी 60% था. एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर शेयर्स 60% in GDP in 1947, while industrial sector was shared by 18% in 1947, while GDP shared by services sector was the 22% in 1947. How these changes reflected what and how we changed from agriculture to other sectors? I think this is the approximate value, not actual value. From 60% it turned to 18% in 1924. One things. Another things, if we are talking about the industrial sectors, is converted into 27%. How much? 27%. Yeah, 28%. From 18% GDP shared by industry in 1947 turned to changed to 27% in 2024. तो यानी 18% जीडीपी की भागीदारी इंडस्ट्री से आती थी 1947 में, वो चेंज हो गई 2024 में 27%. अगला हमारे पास क्या है कि 54% या 55% अप्रोक्सीमेट वैल्यू. सर्विस सेक्टर 2024 में 54 या 55 हो गया. इन 1947 service sector having its share in GDP was 22%, that changed to 54 or 55% in 2024. While agriculture from 60 to 18%, but employment was still exist very high in agriculture. Employment share. Now we are talking about employment share in 2024. Most of the people engaged in agriculture in 1947, I think 65 या 70, more than 70% populations of the India was engaged in agriculture in 1947. That changed to the 45% in 2024. It means another things we can assume, GDP share of agriculture is 18% in 2024, while employment provided by the agriculture to the 45%, यानी इंडिया में एग्रीकल्चर का जीडीपी में भागीदारी 18% है इस समय, जो कि एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोवाइड करता है 45% लोगों को। तो ये 18% जीडीपी में भागीदारी है और ये एम्प्लॉयमेंट कितने लोगों को प्रोवाइड करता है? 45%। तो इससे ये पता चलता है कि कितना ज़्यादा लोग एग्रीकल्चर में इन्वॉल्व हैं, जबकि एग्रीकल्चर का सिर्फ जीडीपी में भागीदारी बहुत कम है, सबसे कम है, 18% है। दूसरे तरफ में एम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है एग्रीकल्चर 45% लोगों को प्रोवाइड करता है इंडिया में, जो कि बहुत बड़ा जंक है। जंक पॉपुलेशन इंडिया का आज भी एग्रीकल्चर पे निर्भर है, और इंडिया का जो है जीडीपी एग्रीकल्चर से कितना आता है? मात्र 18%। एंड अदर थिंग्स, while industrial sector was 27% is 27% in 2024, that also providing the similar employments to the 27%. Services providing employment to 28%, but it's having the most of the GDP share comes from the services that reaches to the 55 या 54% in 2024. 2024 में जीडीपी की भागीदारी सर्विसेज से आती थी 54 या 55%, जबकि ये सर्विसेज इंप्लॉयमेंट कितने किसको प्रोवाइड करते हैं? 28% ही इंडिया का इंप्लॉयमेंट सर्विसेज में इंगेज्ड है। अच्छा, अगली चीज हमने एक चीज ये देखी थी, हाई पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट ऑफ इंडिया, ये भी डिस्कस कर लेते हैं। एक चीज हमने ये देखी थी कि हाई पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट ऑफ इंडिया। सो नाउ वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट द population growth rate of India. There are several theories provided by the scholars like Malthus and Notesteins, etc. Marx also given the theory about the population. So, high population growth rate of India. High population growth rate of India. Due to the high population growth rate of India, resources are least. The production of resources are least. Generation of the resources are very low, very few, while population is expanding very high. In 1971, 81, we have population approximate growth rate, decadal growth rate approximate 24.7, 24.4, like that. So 1951 to 1981, highest population growth rate was recorded in India during that period. This period is known as the population explosion. Before that, known as the steady growth rate. After that, growing with declining tendency. After that, growing with declining tendency. But before that, 1951, it was the population growth was steady growth rate. Steady growth rate means slow pacing में growth rate होता था. But 1951 to 81, the period known as the population explosion. Population explosion. So population growth rate, there are several theories we also discuss, because in exams we find these are asked by the examiners, particularly in PCS exams, UP PCS, they are frequently asking about the population theories. T.S. Malthus, theory of population growth. One theory is given by the T.S. Malthus, population growth theory. Population growth theory. Population growth theory is given by the T.S. Malthus. ठीक, Malthus said, population growth in geometric mean. Population growth in geometric mean. Population growth in geometric means. Geometric means या progressions. While resource generation is happening in arithmetic means. In अर्थमेटिक मीन्स या प्रोग्रेशन, अर्थमेटिक मीन्स या प्रोग्रेशन रिसोर्स जनरेशन, यानी किसी भी कंट्री का जो पॉपुलेशन है वो एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ होता है. ज्योमेट्रिक मीन्स एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ, एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ. एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ मीन्स 2 turn to 4, 4 turn to 8, 8 to 8 16, 16 to 32. That is the geometric mean growth. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, like that. Just is the multiplication of the growth rate. It's called the geometric growth or geometric progression. So population of a country is growing in a geometric means, while resources are generated or produced in a arithmetic means. Arithmetic means, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the same period, population growth rate is noted as, या recorded as, या estimated as 2, 4, 6, 8, 16, 32, while resources are generated या produced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is arithmetic means. So this theory is given by the Malthus. Malthus, he said, population of a country growing exponentially while the pacing of resource generation is very low. There is the huge rift, yeah, gap between the population growth as well as the resource generation. Another theory is also propounded by the another scholar, demographic transition theory, known as the demographic transition theory. Transition theory. Whenever we will discuss the population and demography, that will come under the geography, GS geography. So we will discuss in detail all about the demographic transition theory as well as the population growth theory of T.S. Malthus as well as the Marx theory. But now in brief, we are describing little bit about this theory. So demographic transition theory is propounded or given by the Thompson and Notestein. Thompsons and Notesteins. In one year UPSC, I find one question was passed: who was given the theory as, who was propounded the theory of demographic transition? It was given by the Thompson first, later given further extended the theory by the Notesteins. So according to the demographic transition theory, any society, any country passing through different phases of socio-economic development, passing through the industrial advancement in a different phases. These phases are categorized into 5 different periods, 5 different phases by the Thompsons and Notesteins. First of all, growth rate, birth rate and death rate was high. For example, in primitive society, in tribal society, we find growth rate is also high. Growth rate is constant. In primitive society, in traditional tribal society, we find growth rate is constant because birth rate is high as well as the death rate is high. From the primitive society, when this further progress happening in any society, in any country, is changed into the agricultural based economic activities. Yani agriculture based economic activities is dominated whenever in any society, in any country, death rate is declining while birth rate is very high. Birth rate is very high. Later this phase is further changed into commercial economic activities, commercial agriculture. Later industrial and services sector is predominated. So in similar manner, death and birth rate is also changed. And when a society reach to the developed countries and like that. So birth rate and death rate is constant. Birth rate and death rate is constant. So this theory is propounded by the demographic transition theory by Thomson and Notesteins. And other things we also discuss here about the one thing that left I have to discuss emerging economy and progressive economy. One word very frequently used in economy, in sociology as well as the geography, progress. Later we will discuss about the difference between the development and progress, growth and development, like that. What is the meaning of progress? Yeah, progressive economic activities. Progress. Progressive economy. India is also progressive economy. Progressive means we are generally talking in a common notions. He is very progressive person. His mental thought is progressive. Means we are talking about the equality. We are talking about the removing the poverty. We are talking about providing the employment opportunities, like that come under the progressive. So here we means progressive means anything that related to the progress of a country, progress of a society. So we can say it is the progressive. US is also progressive country. USA, India is also progressive country, and Japan and any welfare based economy, a democratic country that following the principle of welfare, democratic country come under the progressive economy. While another term we are using emerging economy. Emerging economy. So here it means developed countries. Another one is the developed and underdeveloped. So in between the developed and underdeveloped, we having the emerging economies. Sometimes economist, yeah, social scientist divided the world based on the economic achievements. All BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, come under the emerging economies, while the capitalist economies come under the US, Japan, these come under the developed countries. India sometimes mentioned here, while most of the times India come under emerging economy. The countries who is having very massive pace of economic growth, as well as it's some reason looking like a developed countries, and some reason having certain features of underdeveloped economies. In the similar manner, people and the person of the countries also having the same features. So it look like in between of developed and underdeveloping countries, while emerging economies is nearby to the developed countries. Its pacing of growth rate is very high. Its capital formation is also very high. Per capita income is even though low, but its growth rate is very high. It's cross the limit of underdeveloped countries. So we classify the emerging economies. Another classification of the word based on the polarization of word during the Cold World War. During the Cold World War, or we can say the after Second World War. After Second World War. After Second World War. After Second World War, we classify the words into three blocks. Based on strategic policies. Capitalist word, communist bloc. Next one is neutral. This was known as the first world countries, first world countries, it was known as the second world countries. Most of the NAM countries come under the neutrality. NAM countries come under the neutralities, non-alignment movement countries. First world countries, example, USA, UK, Japan. These are the capitalist, these are the capitalist democratic countries, democratic countries. तो कैपिटलिस्ट कंट्रीज, फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज कम अंडर द कैपिटलिस्ट डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्रीज. सो they are collected united under the NATO alignment, NATO under the NATO in 1946, 49. In 1949, NATO was formed in 1949. These countries were collected, formed under the NATO, known as the first world countries. Most of the capitalist democratic countries come under the first world countries. Next classification, we have the communist countries that come under the second world countries. For example, Soviet Union, next China, next Cuba, and like that. So these countries, Warsaw Pact, Warsaw Pact 1955. These countries collected under the Warsaw Pact 1955, and they are known as the second world countries. Under second world countries we have Soviet Union, यानी रशिया present time का जो है, and China, Cuba. So these classifications were very practical during the Cold World War. After broken of the Soviet Union, this classification was not further practical, because countries are amalgamated and they have changed their economic policies, and some communist countries also adopted the capitalist form of government, capitalist economic policies. Neutral countries means most of the colonial countries which gets its freedom from belong to the Asia as well as the Africa and several islands countries. So they might be the parts of नाम और द इंडिविजुअल. मतलब ये नाम के हिस्से हो सकते हैं, उसके हिस्से नहीं भी हो सकते हैं. इसमें हम कह सकते हैं कि जो कि इंडिया है आपका, मोस्ट ऑफ द अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज, दोज वेर द अर्लियर कॉलोनीज एंड गेट द इंडिपेंडेंस, कम अंडर द नाम. Another classification, people's later scholars attached the fourth word. What they said? The fourth word. It is the informal term. It is the informal term. It have no relations with the other things. My means all the tribal countries या tribal population come under the fourth word. Unaware word come under the fourth word. यानी जिसके बारे में दुनिया को बहुत ज़्यादा ज्ञान नहीं है, दुनिया में लोग बहुत ज़्यादा उसके बारे में जानते नहीं हैं, उसको हम एक ऐसे इनफॉर्मल वे में फोर्थ वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज कह सकते हैं या कहते हैं. जनरल मतलब पार्लेंस में लोग बोलते हैं, जैसे कि ट्राइबल सोसाइटीज़ या ट्राइबल बेस्ड कंट्रीज़, तो उसको फोर्थ वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज़ कहते हैं. सो टुडे वी कंप्लीटेड आवर क्लासेस रिलेटेड टू द डिफरेंट क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ द कंट्रीज़. Next, our topic will be the economic systems, and I think we will discuss in the next video. Now closed.